Good morning, Inspiring Illuminators. It is me, Jennifer Engel, your subconscious coach. And today's Christmas morning. Merry Christmas, good year, happy solstice, and if you're not religious, peace. I wasn't going to do a jaunt with Jen today. It's pretty cold, so you might hear crinkling and crunching and swishing. I have my warm stretchy pants on, my snow pants, long sleeve shirt, sweatshirt, jacket, big wool mittens. We're still going to get out and jaunt. It's a beautiful morning here in Minnesota. Crystal blue skies with the stars and the moon twinkling down. And the sun is getting ready to rise, which kind of goes with my poem this morning, The Return of the Light. And as I was taking my walk, and this is the biggest reason why I do this, take a walk, even if it's like 15 degrees in the morning. And I've heard other people who started doing this practice use it for the same thing. Reflection. It's like a moving meditation. A lot of people think that meditation has to be like in a dark place or whatever, saying Om or sitting in a certain position. But that's not true. I will say when I do that, kind of like that, you can get deeper into your consciousness. But to get to kind of a surface good flow of consciousness, like moving along a river, a moving meditation is really good. And that can reveal a lot of answers to you. So I was walking along, and I've been meditating on this thought for a very long time. The thought of unconditional love. I've been meditating on this love concept, I don't know, at least since I was 16, maybe not, maybe even before. And then really hitting it hard, like around 2011, 2012, 2018, like it keeps popping up. And one of the things that I felt bad about, maybe even guilty, and the answer was just revealed to me. Okay, so answers are often given to us, in my experience, like puzzle pieces. So I've probably been collecting puzzle pieces for a long time around this concept of love and unconditional love. And I think this morning I put the final piece in the puzzle, and I could kind of see the whole picture. So getting back to, what did I feel guilty about? What did I feel ashamed of? Well, I came to the conclusion a long time ago, and I've had many conversations with people regarding this topic, that I have unconditional compassion. I have unconditional empathy. And different people have terms and understanding for what they call love. I can be angry at someone, I concluded, and other people, please come to your own conclusions. I can be angry at someone. I can disagree with someone. But if they're hurt, if they're in need, I can also have empathy and I can have compassion for them at the same time. But what I have found, and this is where I felt guilty, I might not love them. So talk about some darkness coming out into the light today for me to share about my own self. And I felt so guilty. And I've been meditating and trying to fix that and change that about myself to no avail. And I didn't know why. But this morning, on Christmas morning, and I've seen this many times, but sometimes the teaching, the vision, doesn't actually take seed or bring light until you are ready, aka me in this case. And I was walking along, and I've seen this many times throughout the year because I do take walks in winter. The snow was twinkling, it was glittering. I was taking pictures of the sky this morning because it's one of the things that I do every morning. I get out and I look at the moon and the stars. I say good morning. And all of a sudden it hit me. You know, I've come to the conclusion for myself, and there are many different ways to look at this. And I'm not changing anyone's mind or perception. I'm just simply sharing what I've learned. And I hope other people have learned something different. And they're willing to share it with me and others. For me, I came to the conclusion a long time ago, I have unconditional compassion and empathy for people. Which I think people who know me and who are around me see and experience day to day. But the people who live with me day to day sometimes might be confused. And this is why I felt guilty and ashamed. Because I came to the conclusion that sometimes love has conditions. Love has boundaries. At least in my experience. And I felt guilty about that. I have empathy, I have compassion for everybody, but I don't have connection to everybody. And to me, that strong connection, that magnetic attraction that just makes you want to pull that person in and hug them and love them and whatever. For me, if I'm being real and honest, which is my brand, has conditions. It has boundaries. If a boundary is broken, I can still have compassion and empathy and forgiveness and understanding even, and knowledge and a logical mind about it. But my heart tells me a different story. It says, stay away, protect yourself. Only go toward the clean, purified water. That's conditions, right? So as I was sitting there looking at the snow, twinkling in the night, it hit me. The purest things in the world, gold, diamond, precious gems, they are not formed, even any plant, right? And I would argue people. They are not formed beautifully if the conditions aren't just right. If the conditions are toxic, poisonous, the plant will wither and die. you know? The gem can't form the precious metal. And so it's so funny. A lot of times I'll write poems and I'll do teachings, and I think that they're supposed to be for other people. And yes, I can still have an ego and say, oh, my teaching is so great. And then the universe comes in and humbles me pretty quickly. The universe comes in and says, okay, now practice what you preach. Did you actually learn what you teach? I'm like, oh. And so I wrote about this morning how we are the light. You are the light. And frankincense kills bacteria and yeast and brings about healing. So this morning, and actually I think this is my poem tomorrow. How do you know, or how do you start expanding your consciousness? How do you start gaining enlightenment? And my very first poem tomorrow is going to be about how you practice mindfulness, how you practice letting things go. So this morning, I guess I'm sharing with you, I'm going to let go of guilt. And I'm going to hold on to the teaching that was given to me this morning. I can still have unconditional compassion, sympathy, empathy, wisdom to share, kindness to give. But I guess when it comes to love, for me, it is so special and rare, and it has to be pure. It has to be like a diamond. It has to be like gold. And I'm not saying it has to start like that, right? Anything that becomes pure doesn't start like that. But over time, it should be heading that way. It should be priming the conditions for that to be a possible option. And if you are anywhere where that is not the condition, you know, love is not guilt. Love is not afraid. Love is not painful. Love is not bringing up people's insecurities. Love is not angry. Love doesn't tell lies. Love doesn't misperceive or project. And it's the hardest thing I've ever had to learn. And when I started diving into the Bible, I started with the book of Revelations, and that's a long story. But anyway, I wrote that in my Bible like in 2011. This is going to be the hardest thing for me to learn. You know? Love never fails. Maybe. I remember writing in my book, Heaven Under Construction, maybe love never fails, but I do. I'm human. But what I've started to get good at is looking at the conditions. I didn't really have a lot of boundaries growing up, and so I never really set up a lot of boundaries. And that allows a lot of things to come in to possibly create a toxic environment. So, on this Christmas day, the light that I learned is it's okay. And you know what? That matches the world, actually, in my belief and experience. The world is always expanding and collapsing. It's breathing, it's beating. It's the wheel. You have the axis in the middle that never changes and is always there, which for me is that compassion, empathy, kindness, truth. But you also have the spokes that project from the axle, that are changing and turning. And as your consciousness changes and turns and grows and evolves, the conditions might need to change. You know? When you were a seed stuck underground, the conditions are going to be different than when you break through and or join others, you know, to compete and learn and look for the light. And for myself, and maybe even society, but I'm only going to speak for myself, maybe we need to say that's okay. I feel like in the past we've crucified people if they grow and change and they need different conditions to survive and thrive. So, on this Christmas morning, maybe look around, see if any light or truth gets revealed to you about anything you need to let go, anything you want clarified, answers to. Let go, relax, and then just see what comes naturally to you. I hope you and your family